All right. Good. Good afternoon. My name's Nathan. I'm doing my presentation on the theme of power in art. Sorry about the small camera size. For some reason, my laptop isn't working, so I have to put it on my iPad. But so today I'll be presenting on theme of power and art throughout history. Artists have used paintings, murals, portraits to communicate um, ideas about authority, where influence and identity. In this presentation, I will explain how three artists from three very different time periods represented the theme of power in very unique ways. So, for this project, I analyzed three artworks. The Louis King of France by Haicinda Rigard, The Man of the Crossroads by Diego Rivera, and Napoleon Leading the Army Over the Alps by Kehinde Wiley. All of these works were created in different centuries and different cultures, of course. They all had they're all from different backgrounds. They all communicate the same idea, which is power. Here, power as an artistic theme. Power is a central theme in art, reflecting authority and leadership and influence across cultures and history. It's a visual. There's also, the visual aspect of it. They use colors and scale and composition to symbolize the message. And the meaning of power evolves. Yet the art pieces tend to keep everything kind of similar. It's more easier to interpret. It does change in certain ways sometimes. So as I stated, the selected artworks that I picked were the Haichina Riganda's portrait, and it symbolizes royal power, the power of workers in industry, and Diego Rivera's mural in the 20th century, with the theme of labor, science, and industrial strength, showcasing collective power. Contemporary power. Kehinde Wiley's modern painting challenges traditional power concepts by reinterpreting historic imagery with new subjects. And the different techniques that are used, they use different colors, balance, emphasis, and scale to visually communicate evolving ideas about how authority and power. So defining power in art, there's artists use scale, central placement, lightning, rich colors, and symbols to convey and control and dominance in art. Individual and collective power. Power can be depicted through individuals like leaders and collectively through groups and technologies or ideas. Cultural context and interpretation. Cultural and historical context shapes how power is represented and influences viewer interpretation. Challenging and reinforcing power, art can either glorify existing power structures or challenge authority by elevating marginalized voices. So here we got the King of France painting by Haicinda Rigard. His background. Oh, well, this is not the painting. This is him himself. His paintings reflect values such as drama, Gandhi realism, emotional impact, and royal portraits. There was royal political propaganda. Monarchs used his art to reinforce authority and project strength through carefully constructed imagery. The mastery that this artist used, he created lifelike details, rich textures, especially in clothing and decorative elements, and his legacy of power. His portraits shaped how rulers were seen, visually communicating absolute power and royal authority. So his paintings were used to show big political figures and obviously convey the fact they are in power. So here is his painting, has an emphasis on authority. The painting highlights absolute power by placing him in the central, making him appear larger and commanding. Symbolism of power, he has a crown, sword, and a throne, symbolize political and military strength, reinforcing the king's sovereignty. Royal identity, the luxurious robe that he wears with the gold accents, signifies the French monarchy and royal status. And the rich colors and dramatic lighting with detailed textures create a more majestic and important atmosphere, as he's the only person in the world that looks as such. So now we move on to Diego Rivera. His background: he created large murals accessible to focusing on social and political themes. He focused on ordinary people. His art always wanted to contrast traditional elite portraits. Social realism influence. Rivera was influenced by social realism, highlighting social struggles and collective progress. And he always had political and educational messages. His murals carried a strong political messages aimed to inspire the public thought and discussion. Here is the painting I chose from him. It's Man of the Crossroads. It's a more modern interpretation of power. He focuses on workers, technology, and scientific progress as sources of power, not just as rulers. Interconnected society: scientists, political leaders, and machines connect to demonstrate how society functions as a whole. Artistic style and impact: bold colors, dynamic movement, and large scale creates energy and emphasizes the mural's message. And a collective effort vision: the mural symbolizes power rooted in collective effort, highlighting people's role in progress. So he wanted to show that not just one person, compared to the previous painting I just showed, that the people together is what makes power, not one singular person. Next is Kehinde Wiley and his background. Wiley challenged traditional depictions of power by featuring modern African American subjects and classic portrait styles. His themes of race and identity: his works explore race, identity, and visibility, urging viewers to rethink historical narratives in art. Visual styles and techniques: Wiley combines realistic paintings with bold, decorative backgrounds to create a striking visual image. And his representation and cultural change: his reinterpretations open conversations about representation, power, and cultural transformation. Painting I picked for him was Napoleon leading the army over the Alps. He reimagined historic art. This painting reinterprets a classic heroic pose by featuring a modern individual challenging traditional power symbols. Focus on the movement: the central rider conveys strength and confidence through movement and energy in the artwork, challenging authority narratives. By replacing historical figures with contemporary subjects, the work questions who holds power and importance today. So he tend to put, everyday people in more classical poses that were done for like kings and rulers, just to show and give people more of a reimaged thought of really who was the one that was in power. And you can kind of question what kind of person the people they had in these poses were back in that time compared to the people he has now in these poses. So comparing all the representations, so monarchical power representations, Regado's portrait illustrates power through monarchy, royal symbolism, wealth, and symmetrical detail. As you could see in the first one, he had, really nice clothing, gold accents, crown, sword, just to show that he's in power. Then the second one, Rivera's mural, highlights collective power by focusing on workers and technology and social progress with dynamic composition. So having everyone work as one compared to just one person is the way they conveyed their power. And then lastly, Wiley's painting questions traditional authority by redefining representation using contract pattern and historical references. So he tended to make a habit of using historic poses for his paintings with regular everyday people, just to make you question previous paintings from the past. So personal reflection interpretation, is a complex subject in art. Power in art extends beyond kings to knowledge, labor, identity, representation, revealing its own complexity. Art reflects social change. Arts embody the values and concerns of their time, illustrating how art responds to social change. Reinterpretation and critique. Modern reinterpretations transform familiar images using art to question and redefine authority and power. Critical engagement with authority. Art encourages viewers to critically consider stories are told and challenge traditional images of authority. Conclusion. Um, Art depicting power evolution. So, artwork illustrates that changing meaning of power from monarchy to collectives and reimagine leadership. Art is a cultural communication. Art reflects cultural values and shapes understanding of leadership and identity over time. And then there's a lasting influence of art. Artists use visual elements to communicate ideas about influence and control across generations. That is all for me. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate it.